Hello, folks, and welcome to Osquery Office Hours. It is mid to late April. It's a nice day here in Boston, and I'm happy to be back at Osquery Office Hours. So thank you all for shifting times around for me. First section is announcements. I'm not quite sure it was since the last meeting, but OS Query 517 was cut. Thank you, Zach. And I think that's out in our various beta worlds. So I think that's
it was since the last meeting.
Other announcements? Okay. Next section is questions, issues, PRs. Anything people want to discuss? Okay. Moving on. 517 release. Thanks for cutting that, Zach. I pushed that out to the Collide Alpha Fleet. I don't think we've seen anything yet, but we've only really just started pushing it out the door. I don't know if you'll have it out anywhere.
Yeah, it's on Fleet's Edge channel, which is not that many devices, but that's where we usually do our testing.
Do we want to call it stable or give it another couple of weeks?
I would say ideally not another couple of weeks. I think there might be a little bit of specific testing we're doing still, so maybe let's check in on the core channel, but try to do it like before the next office hours. Does that work for you?
Okay, let's check in about a week. I happen to have been looking at, I don't know, some issue somewhere, and there was an issue about the Windows read file for cert bundle stuff. Do we think that's fixed? Because I know you were thinking the library upgrade might have done something.
Read file for, oh, yes, the library upgrade definitely did. Yeah, it was reading the cert file like 2 bytes at a time or something, and now it's reading it 4 kilobytes at a time.
Okay, so we think it's probably fixed.
Yeah, I would call it fixed. I mean, I think it's still, I still wonder whether there's a way to like use the OpenSSL library in a way that you'd pass a cert bundle that's in memory or something, or like already loaded, so it doesn't have to do it every time. But this seems much more reasonable. It does seem like a legit issue that would read it like do thousands of reads to do 2 bytes at a time, whereas it's doing like a couple dozen reads.
Mm-hmm.
I think we can probably close the issue.
Okay, I don't think we've released anything yet. I think it predates the 517 cut, or postdates the 517 cut.
No, I'm pretty sure I made sure it got into 517. Let's see. That was merged 2 weeks ago, April 9th. 17 was on April 15th.
Right, it is in 517.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll close out the issue. I think that makes sense.
Those were all the things I wrote down. I'm curious about, we've got all of that endpoint security work that is in a PR that there was some discussion on, and maybe we needed a response from them for. So,
So what
one of the main kind of change I want is for them to create a new ES client and not just piggyback on current ES clients.
Mhm.
That would kind of alleviate my concerns and worries, but because that's what we did for file events and process events, we have 2 ES clients, and I think we can have a third ES client for all other sort of auxiliary events. And that's what Apple also recommends lately. Like if you're gonna do like file things and process things and other things, and you can kind of gather like correlate stuff with like audit tokens. So, but they haven't replied back, and it was a huge change. I wish they had like opened like a blueprint on this one, or just asked like, hey, is this correct approach? There was one Slack thread where I did say like, this would be kind of like a decent approach, but yeah.
Is there how hard would it be to add another ES client?
Not super hard,
I wonder
but
if we can do it for them. Like if we have push abilities into their PR.
yeah. In their PR, it would be a little hard because they've also refactored like classifying all the different event types and have like a meta event class. So that would be a little challenging, but
Do you like that? Do you think it's a good approach?
I'm not sure. I haven't spent too much time either looking at the code deeply or running it. One other sort of concern I had, and I haven't been able to test this, is backwards compatibility. Some events are only present on 15.4 and forward, so even 15.2, 15.3 won't have that, the TCC event in particular. But I just wanted some testing so that it doesn't crash when you encounter older OSs. I think we have safeguarded it by weak linking the framework and making sure the conditions are in place so that that code doesn't get executed on older OSs. But yeah, some testing would be nice.
Yeah.
Have we heard from that person at all recently? No.
So my feeling is that things like creating a new ES client and backwards compatibility are tractable if we like the refactoring that the PR did. So we should decide if we like the refactoring and then try and go forward with it, or decide that we don't like the refactoring and then that's our stance.
Yeah. Yeah. So at, like last week, I said like it's too soon to make it into 517, even if we turned it off by default. But let me try and get that either yay nay on 518. If it's yay, like refactor it and kind of get it cleaned up if we don't hear back.
Okay.
So 518 would be June, May end.
Yeah, I mean we're normally
in a month.
So
yeah, okay. I think I was thinking like in a month, so that should be work.
I mean, if it goes to 519, it's not the end of the world, too. I think we need to decide if we like the refactoring because it changes how we treat the PRs. Other stuff? What do people have going on? Anything fun?
I'm experimenting writing extensions in Swift. It unfortunately, if it works, may not be into open source, but Swift has now C++ interop.
Is there a thrift library?
There's no thrift library, but Swift is just calling C++ libraries.
Interesting.
I think I built an extension in Ruby once.
With thrift?
Yeah, there's a Ruby thrift, so I made it all work.
Nice. I wonder, Constantine, you just did some work on the programs table. I wonder if you've seen this issue 8602 that I just posted. And have any ideas about it?
Name field returning unexpected strings. Strings such as, oh yeah, for sure. No, that definitely, I've seen that. It's because of, there's like 3 categories of programs. There's EXE, MSI, and MSIX. And the ones that are EXE or the ones that are like system programs, typically sometimes MSI, they have like 2 different names that they use. One is in like the name in the registry key, and then there's like another like display key that they use for MSI applications. So my guess is that whichever one this is, File Explorer. Interesting. File Explorer. So that makes it sound like it's a native Windows application. So it's probably not looking at the display key. It's probably looking at the registry key. And that's probably what's causing it. Because some of the internal applications have these weird UUIDs for whatever reason. I don't know why. But I can certainly take a look at that. I wonder, Janice filed that last week. Interesting. Okay.
I mean, maybe you could just drop a comment on there with what you know about that. Is it the kind of thing that like, is there data somewhere, or like, is it just not there?
That's going to be on a case-by-case basis, right?
Okay,
because
okay.
the EXE ones are kind of like wild west. Like they can put whatever they want into the registry. But in this particular one, because it's a Windows extension or a Windows program, there's probably data that we can use to show File Explorer rather than like that weird UUID. I can go onto my Windows VM and like look at a couple of the examples and take some screenshots, and then I feel like the fix for this would be like a 30-second fix, because like we're already looking at the registry. We just need to like look at the sub keys in there.
Okay. Okay.
Will there be a programmatic way to know which thing is correct?
I think so. Like in the case of like MSI and MSIX, there's actually like the reason why I go for MSIX in particular, why I look at the registry, and then there's like a file path for like a XML file. And the reason that I try to go into the XML file is to avoid this situation, because like the XML file has for sure like the nice pretty names, whereas the registry may or may not have the nice pretty name. It just depends on the application. So I bet you there's probably something similar we can do for everything but the EXE ones, where like if we can find the file, or if we can find the registry key that's like labeled the like display name or the pretty name, use that. Otherwise, if it doesn't exist, then we have to revert back to this like UUID, because we just don't have any other place to look potentially. But yeah, you can feel free to assign that one to me and I can take a look.
Awesome. Thank you. Glad you know some things about it.
I spent way too much time in Windows land. Yeah, feel free to assign that one to me.
Let's see. I don't think I can assign it to you because you're not like a committer.
Okay, well that's okay.
But I can tag you in the issue, or you can.
Yeah.
If you comment on it, then maybe I can assign you.
Okay, let me see if I can.
I'll comment on it at least with your name.
You can assign them even if they are not you just have to type their entire.
Oh, is that what it is? Okay.
Yep.
Okay, let me see. Let me try it now.
Well, either way, I'm a participant now, so I can probably. Oh no, I'm not. Weird. I have to comment on it to become a participant.
You could probably just click assign yourself, maybe.
I see the assignee, but I can't. I don't have rights to.
Yeah, and I with the full name, I can't assign him either. It just says no matches.
Weird. That's okay. I'll keep it open, and then I'll comment on it. And then if it's an easy fix, I might be able to just create a PR for it, because that'll
Awesome.
be the best possible case here.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, of course.
I'll also have a question about the Windows shortcut files and the read file function. Stefano, I saw that you had like done that refactoring and got removed the overload with the number of bytes to read. And I guess I'm just wondering, like, what was the context for that? Should we think about re-adding that overload? I know that we can fix this other ways, but
So apart from that very specific use, I think, well, there are another couple of uses, but they currently do not cause, well, they should not be causing an issue. But yeah, the idea honestly was that read file was doing too many things, or that is at least trying to do too many things. And so the concept of read file, I wanted just to map it to read the whole file. Obviously, there is a bit of an issue where the second reason for touching that implementation was to ensure that all the default ways of reading files were using an asynchronous manner, so that you basically Osquery would not get stuck reading blocking file if anyone happened to be read, for instance, a FIFO. Which though brings back the issue that, yes, if you want that behavior everywhere, you want that behavior also when you are just partially reading a file. So yeah, I mean, we do want to have a partial read that can do an asynchronous read or non-blocking read. Yeah, the only annoying part is deciding where to put it, how to write it, try not to duplicate the internal code for the implementation, so that, I don't know, there is a single place to change and not two. And if someone has to make a change, they don't have to remember that there is another implementation. But yeah, ideally, we should have a single function, let's say, to read files. Ideally, again, in the sense, if you want to avoid this potentially blocking issue, it's slightly less ideal for all those other issues, and also for, in some cases, for performance. But yeah. Right now, for that shortcut, as I was mentioning, there are other operations already that are blocking, I think, so it wouldn't make it wouldn't benefit it. The only reason maybe to not use, so two things: either we keep the read file that reads the whole file, because, I don't know, again, there's no performance issue, because most of the files do not arrive to that line. I think that logic I wrote originally was to handle empty files that would be still considered valid shortcut files for Windows. So that was to check that empty, or if there was another one. But anyway, in theory, few files should come to that. I did not, though, extensively test it in the sense that now that the read file is reading the whole file, what's the question is, what happens when you find yourself inside a folder with many big files? Will it slow it down, or the previous logic that tries to parse the shortcut header information will bail out earlier? I don't know.
Mhm.
If it is a problem, then I think instead of right now thinking of making the read file alternative to read few bytes, let's just call the I mean one of the normal, I don't know, C++ functions to
Like a standard library file
yeah,
read function.
yeah, standard library function. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, I mean, okay, I'm fine with just doing that.
Yeah. There's also no issue with reading too many. Yeah, the other use case is also you want to use read file to limit the number of bytes to use, but when you, I mean, yeah, we are reading a fixed amount of bytes known at compile time, so we know we are not going beyond the configured amount. So yeah, we don't need to use necessarily read file for that.
Mm-hmm. Okay, thanks for the feedback on that. I'll work on revising that and get it to you for further review.
Yeah, and good catch. And sorry for the I think this is a longer term thing. It's a couple of times that I tried to. So the original issue that beyond my destruction that made this possible is that the integer, unfortunately, in C++, integers can implicitly convert to booleans, although you have warnings that you should be transforming to errors so that they cause a compile time error. I think I was working, I don't know, beyond other things, I was working with code bases where they all have all warnings enabled as errors. So yeah, missed that. And so I think we should be, well, it would be ideal that Osquery would enable basically all warnings. Well, at least some warning as errors. One of those is, for instance, that implicit conversion one. The only issue is that right now enabling it throws a lot of errors. Unfortunately, especially on Windows, we have many narrowing conversions, so like from 64-bit to 32 bits or even less. And so yeah, there's a bit of manual work to do before.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's problematic. You can easily create security issues with those errors. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely makes sense to me that it's like you would hope the compiler would catch that when you're doing refactoring, but then it's just it converts into bools, and then there you go.
Anyone else? Anything else people want to talk about? If not, thanks for moving the meeting time, and maybe we call it for today.
Yeah, glad to see you back, Seth. Glad the time worked.
It was great. It's nice to see people. Thank you
Yeah.
for holding down in my absence.
For sure.
Wonderful.
Wonderful.
Okay.
All
See
right.
you all in a little while.
Thanks all.
Thanks, y'all.
Bye.